That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that now?
Runts.
Yeah, nice. Hell yeah.
Just the real runts.
Yeah, I don't know what runts cut I have. I got a runts cut that grows like a dwarf. It's weird.
Yeah, this one's small too.
Gets wicked black.
They don't.
Could just be my soil because I feel like everything I grow goes that way. So.
Maybe it's just high in nitrogen.
No, it's the opposite. Yeah, it was weird.
You're low in nitrogen.
Yeah, very low. Yeah.
And your plants are dark.
Yeah, yeah.
What are they sucking up, like boron or?
No, we're low in boron too. We just actually just fed Solubor, but I found out that was not. Like, I've been learning a lot about the different types of amendments and like what people are doing, and it's a fucking rabbit hole of like information because like like why does your weed taste good? Why does it look good? But why does it taste good? And then you find the blend together. It's very hard right now. Yeah, I think it's because I was like low in potassium, and it just fit. It would fade out, and I do go cold in the last 2 weeks, but like that runts though from like week 5 or 6. Too close?
Yeah. Just talk through it.
Okay, like this.
Yeah, as long as your voice is going through it, not next to it.
Okay, so talk into it like this.
You can be far away from it as long as it's going. No,
okay, got it. Got it. Got it.
Broadcast that shit.
Headphones would make this nice, but
Yeah, we're good. Tough talk with Doug.
Tough talk with Jake.
Yeah, Jake's coming with the heaters. I love it. Yeah. No, it's I don't know. And it's funny too because now that I'm adding nitrogen, I'm learning that my lowers are like the top of my canopy. Well, it's still purple and black, but it used to fade all the way through the plant. Now it's like anything that's not seeing the light will stay green now that the nitrogen's on point. So I'm a little upset about that. I got to defoliate differently now, I think, towards the end. I don't know if you do that, but different strains, different things,
Depends how tight it is.
Yeah, true that. Yeah.
Like some of these strains just like whip out and they it's like popcorns, and then other ones just like grow kind of slow and just fat and bushy, or you put too many in the bed and it's like
true.
You're just cutting out shit because it's not going to get any light anyways.
Exactly.
I think that with the no-till, I've noticed that I like to leave more on
for sure
until the end.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm like kind of taking stuff off, but not really. I kind of like I like to watch the plant like consume it, even though I haven't changed my feed regimen. The plants like shift and they stop sucking up the shit they don't need anymore. And like you'll see them, the different phenos will fade out differently in the same bed.
Yep.
And it's just so interesting to watch the plant how it chooses.
Yeah.
And like I think as growers, like salt growers especially, we're just pounding.
Right, 100%.
We're just like send them all. Like,
fuck yeah. I mean? Like, get that weight. Yeah.
But with no-till, we're like, we don't really want to fuck things up.
Yeah.
So we're kind of hesitant to add too much or to experiment.
Yeah. I mean, because like if you throw anything at it, you could fuck it up, Right. But it is cool. Like I think my intuition like did the same thing where I used to like fully strip them, but I saw like especially in no-till, like when they would start to fade, it was like almost like such a natural process. You like your human nature doesn't like you're like I'm not gonna touch that plant.
No, hell no, you're happy, girl. Go through your thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool to see the plant like mobile and immobile nutrients is what you're talking about, and it's like the flush is what everyone was taught is how this happens. You're flushing the salts out of the root zone so the plant can eat itself. But it's like in no-till, it's like you're not. It's like that's what's happening the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like you see the process and you're like, wow, just set it and forget it.
Right.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I think like I see that with like nutrients because you've like I follow the feed charts and I've run fucking all these different nutrients and different things and da 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 da. And over the years, it's just like one of those things where you kind of watch these things happen and you're just like, oh, I stopped giving it nutrients. So but the reason you stop giving it is because it doesn't take them.
Yeah, exactly.
So like we have a rec facility that we do cocoa and we're feeding front row and we use some bloom ferments at the end and things like that. And I get so bored with it. And I'm like, I go look at the root ball. Yeah, it's clean. Like, hey, all kinds of white roots.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, when I come to the no-till garden, and I'm like, holy shit. Like I come in and I'm like, that mushroom wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then like I like sweep away some of the top, and then like there's like worms that are there and like these little bugs, and like I find myself in the soil.
Yeah.
More than I'm like looking at the plants.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So it's like it's such a different energy. It's like walking in the woods barefoot versus ripping a 4-wheeler.
Right, exactly. You know? And it's like I forget. It was a podcast I listened to a long time ago. But this, like, I grow marigolds, and it's nice, like, for your employees and yourself to walk into a grow, and, like, you're so used to green and purple, but then you get, like, these white and orange flowers, and it's like, you know, I play classical. We play whatever music we want, but if no one chose, it's just classical, and it's just such a... Like, you're just like, you can't just walk past the plants. You, like, get consumed by everything that's going on. You look under, and what I really love is, like, when, like, your mycelium is, like, rocking, and you're, like, throwing leaves down, and then it's fucking, it just eats it up. It's like how fast it goes. It's like, holy shit, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know?
You pull, like, a chunk of leaves back that you kind of didn't spread out, and, like, there's, like, worms just living.
They're already killing it. Yeah.
I take I take, like, a lot of the fruit scraps from the house. And I'll do, like, watermelons and
you'll put it directly on top?
Fuck yeah.
So have you heard of avocado tech?
Yeah, Blue.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Blue Tech.
Cool.
Shout out to Blue.
Yeah, that's cool.
I can't remember his name.
I'm bad.
He's gonna kill me. Meristem. They got a store.
Yeah,
they've bought product from us, and they definitely. He's
a local guy.
He's like way up north.
Oh,
like,
cool.
Kinda like coastal. Like
cool.
I met him at the Regen Regen conference.
Yeah.
The Bell's putting in work today.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, no. And he was really cool, dude. Like, I watched him. I followed his avocado tech where he puts like small amounts of nutrients in, and then the worms consume it, and like
it's like immediate bioavailability. Yeah.
But that's what like inspired me to like take the watermelon rinds and just stick them on the bed.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
I have to go and get the test. I gotta get my soil tested. And I got all these little beds. So
where do you get it tested at?
I was gonna do it. Honestly, I haven't even done it yet. So
I highly recommend Logan Labs. I mean, there's like 3 or 4.
You gotta hit the bell, bro.
Of that, if you shout out at first, got it.
That's the shout out bell.
I'm on it.
He's gonna love this bell.
And then like the thing about labs is like you got to pick one and stick with it. Because, like, you could send the same sample to the same lab and get different results. You could send the same sample to every lab and get all different results. Yeah. So it's like you just stick to one lab and you create a benchmark of, like, all right, my nitrogen's here, my potassium, phosphorus, blah, blah, blah. If you work with an agronomist or you work by yourself, you say, okay, I'm going to try, like, I need nitrogen. I'm going to start, like, tossing alfalfa towards it. And, like, potassium, you know, like potassium silicate or some people use sulfates. And you, like, I'm just, like, creating numbers. Like, all right, I did this round with these strains, and then let's test it at the end. But tissue testing, I think, is, like... And bricks testing as well, I think is very important. But, like, to figure out your base of your soil, like... you know, like a lot of people do it once a year for indoor no-till. And, you know, because you can, like, there's so many people that grow living soil now. And then there's people like us that grow no-till, and it's a very different animal. And, like, if you get recommendations from agronomists, like, they're going to think field applications, which is, like, how a lot of these living soil guys go, which is perfectly fine. It's just with no-till, if you just throw amendments, you're not doing you're not letting, like, the microbes and the biology do the work. Like, Jeff Lowenfels... nice. He just had a podcast on the Future Cannabis Project. Nice. And it blew my mind. I never really thought of it this way, but if the microbes don't work, they'll get lazy. So if you're like water soluble nutrients into no-till early on, like in flower, like that makes sense because there's a huge root mass and you have to like spot feed. But at the beginning, if you're not like dropping amendments and like letting the natural like ecosystem work, those microbes get lazy, then your microbe count, your diversity goes away, and it's kind of cool. Like I think about like, imagine like probiotics very early in children, like they would efficiently like take in nutrients from their like vitamins and shit. Like we're like so like nutritional first, and like learning about the biology, I think to pair the two, like what we were talking about before we started, like, you know, everyone starts with, like I learned from Mountain Organics and then Michael Hinden, rest in peace to Michael. Michael is like my my mentor, and he was like on another level out in California, and I was like so stuck on like whatever they told me I was gonna do, and then I like found like, you know, I was following Green Life Production, and then it's like Future Cannabis Product. Everyone like you just like you're like, what do I do? Do I just like do what he's doing, but he's doing something different? Then you just learn that like every facility you're in is gonna be different, and you just have to like find your own. It's like I think Skunkfoot said it is like everyone's their own artist in this, and it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, like 100%, and like a lot of my learning is taken from the lessons that they teach, but then I'll like apply it in my own warped way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna see how strong I can spray it. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, you know, like the natural farming stuff, and it's a application. Like, and I do my own stuff, and I'm like, maybe I can double it up, but I don't know why I would double it up. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's like pushing the envelope all the time.
That's like
and I don't do it on my weed stuff, but I'll do it on like the tomatoes or the cucumbers, and then, like, you know what I mean? So
I mean, less is more typically, but I mean, like the Q, Jay Plant Speaker, he the way they found out that the Q paired with, I think, sulfur will basically kill PM. Someone just started it was like an 1/8 teaspoon per gallon recommendation. It's an emulsifier,
right?
But then someone put like 2 teaspoons per gallon and started like doing crazy shit. So it's like, you know, that's how things are found. Right. You know, it's,
exactly.
I like look at it like you know, like science changes every day, and like intuition is so like the green thumb of things. Sometimes your gut is just like, yo, let's try this, and it works. It's just like crazy. And like sometimes, like one thing I just found, so I have, you know, every room has 9 8x4 beds and 3 4x4 beds. So I labeled every bed, so room 1-1 through 12, 2 through 12, blah, blah, blah. And I label all the way, like when you cut the plants down, like everything defoliated, same bed. But when they go up to the dry room, when you buck those hangers into the totes, all the excess leaves, that goes back to the same bed. So I looked at like crop rotation in agriculture, and I was like, well, how can I be more efficient with like what I'm pulling for nutrients from these beds? So I tested every bed in our facility, and they're all identical. So I only have to do 1 test per room now, rather than 12 tests. So I'm saved $12,000 or $1,200 every fucking. I was doing it every month for a while. Now it's like once a quarter, you know. But yeah, it's like, you know, like no one. I've never learned that. I just like was like, you know, let's fucking try this, and it works. Like plenty of things don't work, but at the same time, it's like I feel like we're the ones in the mix, in our soil, in the garden. We're learning, you know, experimenting is part of science. You know, choose one bed and try something new, and you never know. You kill it or not, you know? Or
not.
Yeah.
And then some magic happens, you know?
Exactly.
So that's cool that you've done that study of the soil and putting the leaf and all that, like, biomass back into it. Because I'm in my room chopping down, and I'm like, I'm worried that one cultivar is taking up more than another, and I'm like, well, maybe I should just like put all the material together, and then like blend all the material, and then like evenly distribute it out between the beds. But because my concern is like, are these cushes eaten differently than these bananas and like all these like if a terpene is different, how can the food all be the same? Especially in this no-till and like living soil game, like there's so much bioavailability. That how do we understand when I do X, it equals X? You know, like, how do I not know that I put a shit ton of watermelon rinds on this bed, and my white runts is gonna taste differently next?
Like, no, you're right though.
I'm just like gambling. I'm like,
I mean, you're essentially gambling. It's
so fun though.
And it's cool because it's like you can't really fuck it up. Like you can fuck it up by like throwing a ridiculous like. If it calls for a tablespoon, throw 6 at it, you're going to fuck it up, you know? But are you doing multiple strains in one bed?
So right there, like this small little room that I just showed you, this is like my little personal garden. This is pheno hunts. So I'll do like a pheno per bed. Or like a pheno per row. So that I can like kind of see, and it's for me, I was worried that one bed was nutrient deficient or rich
Yeah.
in one direction, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't get a true outlier and like
Yeah.
understand that that genome is exact.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm looking at, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
So that was my struggle with going into no-till.
Yeah.
Pheno hunting.
The hardest part, yeah.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck. Like,
Because how do you pheno hunt in? Because like, so I do the same thing now, but ideally I want 5-gallon pots to pheno, but it's like wherever they're born in, as in seeds, and like where they start their life in, they're gonna grow the best in.
Yes.
So it's like, you know. I popped 600 seeds when we over 2 rooms,
Bravo.
and it was like we seeded it up.
Madness.
It was awful, yeah. And but like I saw that like certain plants are pulling different things for different beds, and they're all competing with each other, which is like a natural part of life. And it kind of like I'd step back. I'm like, all right, I can't do phenos anymore. But now I'm doing them all in the same bed, same genetics, and I'm like, whatever. Like the strongest will survive. But I think like those bottomless pots,
yeah.
you know, and then you
Bingo.
can spot feed, which is a good idea, I thought. Yeah.
I did a test on the capillary mats for this run in my own personal garden.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to pheno hunt. So, like, a 4x8 tray with these mats, these 4x8 mats in it, they're fucking gorgeous,
Yeah.
dude. They work amazing. If your plant needs more water, it takes more water. If it needs less water, it takes less water.
And it's like your mulch layer.
No.
Where is it?
It's the capillary mat is through Blue Mat.
Yeah.
And it works just like their carrots. Do you know how the Blue Mat
Yeah.
system?
I started with blue mats. Yeah.
Right, and they're frustrating until you get them dialed in.
Yeah,
and then all of a
100%.
sudden you're like, it just makes sense.
Yeah, 100%,
You know, and you
yeah.
got to run your bed a little wetter with those.
Yeah.
And I turn them off in the last 2 weeks, and I'll hand water because I like
cool.
that drier,
Yeah.
kind of like
course.
dry back with
Yeah.
those on the living soil side. But the capillary system works just like that. It has a carrot, but the carrot's flat, and the carrot sits between, I'm going to say tarp, but it's not. It's like a semi-permeable layer.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen
and
it.
then
Yeah.
there's a thin layer of like this mesh or like foam or
Yeah.
woven poly something, right?
Yeah.
And then on the bottom there's another tarp, but same,
Right.
but it's not permeable. It's like
Does
wet.
it cover the whole soil surface?
There's no soil. The soil is only in the bottomless pot. So like,
and it sits on top of it.
yeah, dude. So like the capillary
okay,
system's
okay,
like this
okay.
board.
Interesting.
And then the capillary system just keeps this wet with one carrot.
Interesting.
And
So
then
your
you just take a pot and you
bottom
just set it
water.
on it. So if the
Yeah.
pot's not sitting heavy enough,
Yeah.
it doesn't press hard enough.
Oh.
So like no
To engage.
algae grows on the cap. I had them in my
wow.
greenhouse.
Wow.
No algae will grow on the top of this capillary mat.
Interesting.
And then the glory is once you set the plant there, it only wicks up until
Yeah.
like that 2/3 zone.
Yeah,
Where you
yeah.
don't, where you want your water
Yeah.
anyways.
Then
like
the roots will drive down
right.
to it. Yeah.
And then all I'll do is I'll top dress.
yeah.
I'll throw like a teaspoon of my amendments.
Yeah.
And then every other week or week, I'll just water in.
It's mint. Yeah.
And then, so
yeah.
this is the way I've decided I'm going to pheno hunt.
Yeah. That's you kind of just taught me something. It's I didn't even think of it that way because like bottomless pots, I was thinking more of like how do I do bottomless pots in a production facility and pheno hunt. So if you put bottomless pots on top of the beds, but that's fucking genius because
Yeah.
like I could do it offsite in a tent
4
and
by
just
8.
like
You can. They have
just
two
like
4
it's
by
not
4s.
5 nodes, flip it. Yeah, cool.
I'm thinking this winter I'll just pop seats.
Yeah.
You know, and I could fit fucking 18, 20 plants on
Yeah.
that one thing. So you
Right.
can rip 2 packs of seeds.
Yeah.
Call your males.
Yeah.
And have a little space.
Yeah.
Take your tops and then go for it. you
Someone
know?
does the Lone Tree. I don't know him,
Yeah,
but
Tony over. Is it Lone Tree?
I don't know. I've
Lone
been
Tree.
following him forever.
Shout out to Tony.
Yeah, great grower. Don't know him personally, but like he
Got good
pheno
energy.
hunts in like a tent. Like he's a grower. You know what I mean? Like how many phenos can I fit in this 12 by 12?
Right.
It's like 300 or whatever he did was amazing. Yeah, it's cool to like that's work. That's but to do it on a scale like that, and then you find your winners, then you figure out if they work in the production room, and then you blow a bed up.
Right.
That's like the way. People don't realize how long it takes to like bring seeds to
6-7
market.
months if you're killing it.
Yeah, I like to have like a production run is like a year, you know, to get it mommed out and know that it's stable. Like I'm running seeds right now, and I have some like cool runs crosses with GMO, and one killer one, but it like fucking sacks all over it. Like, you know, I just plucked them, but I'm like, it is such a fire strain, but I'll never run it again. It's just like kind of tough. But it was one that I just like dropped one seed in a 4x4, just got it enormous. Like, it was such a waste of money, you know what I mean? Like, I could have like put like 6 plants in that one spot and had like a, you know, couple pounds, but whatever. It's so now I change it where I have like 12 plants in one 4x4, but now I'm like, they're competing with spacing.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of just like trying to do more than biting off more than I can chew.
All that kind of stuff.
Those seeds were vegging for like, you know, they're probably this tall before it's
fourth node, fifth node, something like that.
Before they I did 4-inch pots until they were like 3 nodes, put them in the beds, and as soon as they hit like probably like 8 inches or 9 inches, I flipped the room. And so I'm not gonna yield, I'm just taking it as a hit, but I'm like, I got to set up a pheno hunting room at my house before, and I'm just eager to bring more genetics, like, because I've been running the same shit. And then I just bought some genetics from the honey sticks that I have, like apples and bananas, and I have Cushmans, and just nothing like crazy, like new, but just stuff to kind of like bring some variety in. But I love, like, before this facility, all I did was hunt seeds.
Yeah.
Like, that's all. It's like growing seeds, and like I found a peanut butter breath way back that I lost, but it was there's just like certain ones that just you never forget about, you know what I mean? Like to find those types again is kind of like what you're in it for, you know?
Do you ever like have like 2 of them and you're like, fuck, I can't, like,
oh yeah,
6 and 9, like, oh my god, I just don't
especially
know.
if they're like 2s and 11s and 3s, like I'm like superstitious, and like it's so hard for me to like cull plants. Like I don't kill plants, like I let them die, and it's like almost like worse for it. But like I have plants on my teen rack right now that I should have cut and mulched, and I just like they're just like slowly dying, and then I'll finally like take care of it.
Just
but
can't let go, huh?
yeah, it's like it's hard. It's hard.
One of the my grower, one of the we were just having this conversation. It's like, but I don't know that like I maxed that thing out.
Right,
I could be
right.
like missing some secret terp if I just hit it just right. I'm like, but bro, what else are you gonna miss if you hold on to that? And like, how disorganized do we get? And like, I feel like as growers, we maximize every fucking square inch of every surface and like that we can possibly do in these grow rooms
to a fault sometimes.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're doing these pheno hunts, it's so fun to pop like all these fucking seeds because the end result is what we're all going for. Yeah. But the struggles in between is insane.
It's insane.
Like like in the cocoa, like you'll see a plant go whoosh, and now next thing you're doing, you're watering it 3 times a day trying to keep it alive so that you can, but you don't have the room to transplant because then your regular shit's there. And it's it's really fun.
I like that about no-till, how like you can just, as long as your soil's fairly dialed, you can just throw anything in there. You don't really have to like change anything. And I don't like to like part of, and it's, I always like think about like, am I screwing myself here by like the seeds that do well in my system are what I keep. But how do I know that some of those seeds just aren't doing well in that system if I like change the feed a little bit? But thinking about like a production model where it's like, you know, you have a cost of goods and you have a regimen of how you do things. Like you don't want to go around and like there's a cocoa grower and then there's a no-till grower, and it's like different styles. Like you need to really like understand that your system needs to be like the same. Like if you try to chase rabbits around, you're gonna run around with your head cut off. Like I've learned even with insects, like I have these leaf hoppers. I trained a leaf hopper to like cannabis, like a fucking idiot.
Oh, Jiminy leaf hopper? What's going on?
Yeah, it's like this it's funny because like Greg Bryant from Beneficial Insectary, Susan Wainwright, then Sink Angel, I've sent it to all of them, and like it's these I finally found one is like a clover leaf hopper, but the black one with these little white spots in the back is like there's no record of it across like 3 like industry leaders like of any cannabis grower that has this, and what I did was it came in on the clover when I used to grow like the Build a Soil like 12 seed mix, but I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Leaf hoppers.
Oh yeah. So I it was all over the clovers and I was freaking out. Like, as a salt grower or whatever, that bugs in there, you got to take care of it. So if you take that same approach with no-till, it's a little different because it's like once the bug's in there, the bug's in there
For life.
You're not, unless you want to put some poison to
Yeah.
eradicate, but that's not how it works. So I was like, all right, it's all over the clover. It's not on the cannabis yet. Let's just remove all of my living mulch from the whole facility. So it's only soil and cannabis, and the bug will go away. And that's not how evolution works. The bug found its food, and now its food's cannabis. So it's like one of those things where, like, you try to micromanage shit, and even like there's this guy Josh Steensland.
Oh, yeah.
Who he just looks at it. He's like, if there's bugs there, it's because my plants aren't dialed. And I just wait till my plants are dialed and then they'll go away. And I used to I would have a shop vac vacuuming up these adult leaf hoppers, and they're never in the product. They're just in my living mulch and they fucking bug me. And I was just wasting hours of my day just trying
What
to
eats leaf hoppers?
so praying mantis or nothing lace wings, but nothing. I've tried them. I've tried it all. Nothing will eat these or they just we just didn't we took the Greg Bryan and I, we took an aphids approach. We did as much lace wings per the square footage of one room, and they didn't touch the adults. They'll eat the nymphs, but it's those adults will hide in any little crevice.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to get them. But now that I'm dialing my soil back in, I'm not fucking with them as much. They seem to be knocked back already. So it's you chase your tail, or you just accept that something is wrong in the core of your system,
Yep.
fix that problem, and then the other problems go away. And that's a hard thing to do because you want to fix it overnight. I'll do all-nighters. If any problems happen, if you get spider mites, you're fuck, I gotta handle this immediately.
Yeah.
And you're there through the next morning, and that approach doesn't. Oh, it's a good approach, but it doesn't always work how you
We've
want
had
it
them
to.
all, dude.
Yeah.
Russets, fucking aphids.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got done with russets.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So, dude, russets is tough.
Did you? Yeah, there's a combination of sulfur and other sprays back to back.
I don't like using sulfur.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
It's tough because it affects the plant long term.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So it's a great product, and using it is great, but
it's an emergency.
What's the desired effect? And I think that there's a lot of safe things that you can use out there that are listed that
Yeah.
you can really fucking smoke them with. I mean, just
Did you? Yeah. Go.
alcohols and natural. It's kind of there's lots of things you can smoke with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just enzymes.
Yeah.
Dr. Zyme and
Yeah, you did. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can try just lots of different things.
Yeah.
But here's the deal: is you're not dealing with a spider mite.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not dealing with this little crawly motherfucker. You're dealing with
You can't see this shit.
a fucking worm.
Yeah.
It's an invisible larva.
Yeah.
And what happens is it gets under the skin of the leaf.
Yeah.
So when you treat, you just have to be super diligent, and you have to just be aggressive. And
Yeah.
we didn't lose genetics, but man, did we smoke some plants, and it takes them a while to come back. But
Yeah. Stuff Oil X, I don't know what that stuff is. I've heard that it's great for
Yep.
russets. I've never used it.
I use it in my greenhouse on
cool.
my vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for fungicides, and it's a fungicide miticide, but it's
Okay.
listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're so in my no-till, we have less problems in no-till.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird,
Yeah.
knock on some wood,
If that
but-
soil's dialed, you're good.
And we
Especially
use
from,
Coast of Maine.
Yeah,
We started
okay,
out with
okay,
a Coast of Maine, and we added some green sands, and we even
Yeah.
added real chunky perlite at the bottom to
Yeah.
help with some air, and we kind of built it on a budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same, yeah.
So we didn't one spot's built with Build a Soil.
Yeah.
One spot's built with the Coast of Maine.
You see any difference?
Yeah. I think that the Build a Soil is a lot lighter, and I think the Coast of Maine, that heaviness,
Okay.
less water. I have a lot more fungal
Oh, you're
growth.
saying the soil, not
Yeah.
the yields.
Right.
Yeah.
What
What
we're
about
still
the
getting
plants?
yields figured out because
Yeah.
one of our runs is always seeds.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes we're chopping males down and we're like one plant a light and it's supposed to be 5.
No
you know,
good
you're like
data
fuck.
there.
You know, like how do you
sure.
judge this? You know, and then the other room is like, well, just like 2 beds. Like we're really trying to figure out what grows in the no till,
right?
Like what we already have. So like half a 10-foot bed of this and a 10-foot bed of that.
Right.
One will slam and then one needed more water. So you know how the game is. You're chasing your tail.
Yeah.
What like when you were a little kid, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, when was like your first experience with weed? Like,
Yeah.
just bring me to that moment.
I was, man, I think it was like 7th or 8th grade, or maybe it's got to be middle school. But Grenier's Field in Lewiston. I was with I can't say his name actually because he's like he's got a suit job, but just in case. But my buddy John, he took me to like my friend's house, and like I was like, dude, I'm smoking weed, man. Like I was just like,
you fucking knew it.
I was like, I'm doing it, and we were all like, they're skateboarding. And I chickened out. Like, they were, like, gonna just pop off in the woods while this kid's mom was gone. And I chickened out. Like, and I was just, like, nervous. And then, like, his mom ended up coming home, so they didn't smoke. And then later on, they're like, all right, we're gonna walk through this field. And my buddy John is like, Travis, you fucking told me to do this. You're smoking weed. I'm like, all right. I'm like, all right, dude. And
it was peer pressure.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Well, I needed it though. I was the one that set the thing up, and we smoked, and then we went back to my buddy's house. We were like watching a movie. It was me, him, and his friend, and we were like, I think I got high. Like we were laughing and shit. I was like trying to like figure it out, and then like from there it was on. It was fucking. I think I was like a daily smoker
every day.
I think like sophomore year, like during hockey season, I was really big into hockey in high school. I would usually quit for those seasons just because I didn't want to get caught and like lose any chance. Like I almost played like in college and shit.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean. I played for Lewiston, yeah.
You get some action shots of them. And
yeah, it's hilarious. I had like some fucking long hair flow and shit. It was sick, yeah. But I'm 5'4". Like my coach at the time.
You're a big 5'4" though.
Yeah, my coach was like, back then. Like I wasn't juicing, but like I was fucking doing it right. Like we were working out, and my coach like wanted me to play D3, but I'm like, I'm an AB student, like 5'4", like I'm not gonna chase the fucking hockey dream. Like I'm not going pro, and I'm so glad I did it because a lot of my friends chased it for a while playing juniors. Like half my friends went to Canada, and they're all like, working construction now, and they're all happy now. But it was like a tough ride for them. But then after that, I kind of was just like a stoner in high school, like soccer and lacrosse season was dope. And then college, the cool thing I always like to bring up is there's like 2 like parts of college that like got me to where I'm at. It was like the first time I found sour diesel. Like I was so high, I was like explaining to people that little miniature, like how the calyxes are so different. Like once I found sour, like how I broke the bud up, I was like, this is amazing. I was like, I want to grow weed. And so I was sophomore year, I was in a fraternity, and like not like the typical frat boy, like we were just partiers, and
typical frat boys.
Yeah, just like we didn't wear collared shirts, I guess. But my room, my sophomore year, I had a closet that was under the staircase to go to the 3rd floor. And it was really weird, but I was just like in my closet. I'm like, oh, this board looks like it could move. Open it up, it's a white lined, like someone grew there. I'm like, this is like meant to be. So I fucking read about curing bud and read about germinating seeds. I had a bunch of bag seeds, and we like grew some plants, and no one in the house knew. There's like 30 of us living there, and it was just me and my roommate at the time. And like we got into like week 3 of flower, and like the whole, like we were all dealing bud, like it was like 3 of us, like nothing big, but like just doing ounces and shit. And so it was like, it always smelled like bud there, but it was like fresh weed. Like everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? Who's got like, what is that shit? And I'm just like,
sharing, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. And then like it got bad. We chopped it down like probably in week 4 or 5. So it was like still like developing a bud. Yeah. And then I think we dried it and tried to smoke it, and that was that. We were like, we can't do this again here, so let's move out. And then my other roommate, we got a place. He grew some bud at our apartment our next year. And we like to smoke it. We put it in the oven. Like as soon as we harvested it, we like looked up online like how can we smoke this the fastest. So we like decarbed it and then smoked it. It was so harsh, it was terrible. But and then
we used the light one time.
Yeah,
like, we took some nugs and we just like put a light really close
Try
to
to
it for
dry
like
it
3
quick.
days. It was fucking horrible.
Yeah, but you're so excited, you know.
I know a character that used the like the chicken lights.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
First place I trimmed.
Oh, to
Like-
dry?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, hell
So
yeah.
it's like, what is this?
That's awesome.
Yeah, those are the good old
They
days.
dried the weed.
Yeah, no, it will too. It's like, you know, like it's man, it's the
I mean, there's cultures out there like, you know, especially like the Jamaicans. Like we went to Jamaica
Yeah.
and shit, and they just like chop them down and they'll dry them in the field.
yeah.
You know, like or in like an area to like just to take the sun away.
Yeah.
like the outdoor area.
Yeah.
Just like I
Which
tried
is
to-
like mold, but I don't know their climate down there. Like we couldn't do that up here. I had a friend do that.
On the rooftop.
What's
You
that?
seen the Afghani pictures? They do it on the rooftop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It must be like really dry. Obviously, desert. Yeah. It's my buddy tried to do that right downtown Lewiston. Not downtown, but like in one of the neighborhoods. His wife hit me up like, "Hey, we're drying weed. Can you go check it out? Like, we're not we're not home right now." I'm like, "What? Like, this is like an old lady neighborhood." So I go and I pull up to their garage, and I walk through, and like. I was like expecting like go in the back door of the garage to find like that it's drying. It's like no, it's like a clothesline, just buds hanging in their backyard. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
there's like well, it was full of raw. Like I was like, you know, you can pick these off and fucking put them in a paper bag and like try to teach them. But it's so funny how much you learn in a little bit of time. Fucking what was that?
especially when you work your balls off to like grow it and then you fuck it up at the end.
Yeah, I mean that's the best part. Well, not the best part, but like that I get hungry when that happens. When it's my fault, like yeah, I like making those mistakes. I don't like them when it's happening, but I feel like if you hit winners all the time, like a lot of my friends, and like no offense to them, but some of my friends are great growers and they made great money and they're probably millionaires, but now they're struggling, and it's like because you guys have been winning this whole time, you're not like making like reinvesting in yourself, and like you know it's having your own store there's trapping, and it's like if you grind, if you like no-till will teach you some shit too, like
yeah.
you know like we like PM way back and all that. It was you know, if I didn't have that, I probably would have like ruined the grow completely by now. You know, I needed those failures to get here.
I think a lot of growers struggle with PM. I know, like, we'll have it pop up on us, and just like, it's so weird how like a plant will just do something weird on you or something. What's been like your saving grace?
Yeah.
If you could give like one thing like away as a secret, like what's your
Yeah. For PM especially. Well, way back, this was before Living Matter. Every plant in the grow, like when me and my partner split, was full of PM. There's this one strain that didn't have it, so I cloned 60 plants off that one strain, threw that into flower, and then a week before flipping, and this was like prior to license, because I don't know if this is like I sprayed sulfur a week before, so as they flipped, all the lower leaves were coated with sulfur. A new way now that I've been educated on it, like just changing the leaf surface pH.
Yeah, for sure.
So potassium silicate does it. It'll raise the pH. And you know, I ever since I did all that, like, well, I did a bunch of shit. Like, everything was hydrophobic, so I took bamboo and every 3 inches, like, aerated my beds. And then I did it for one room, then I had to pay a buddy to do the rest of the place. You know? But that, and then like Leighton Morrison hooked me up with some compost that, like, when I got the bag was like growing. It was fucking like the whole bag was coated with mycelium. It was fucking nuts. So I made teas out of that. Then I top dressed. I mixed worm castings and 2 different composts, and then mixed it all. Like did a bag or half bag of compost, half bag of another compost, and a full bag of castings. Mixed that. Top dressed all of my beds, and then it just went away. And I just haven't done like. You know, my regimen now, like for biology, I'll amend with compost. So like if I'm dropping alfalfa, like I'll take a half bag of compost and I'll like put all my amendments in it, mix it, and that'll be easier to spread it. But I'll do like mammoth, I'll do root-wise biology. But other than that, I think like I have a layer of pumice and wood chips at the bottom. So I think there's like a fungal network that's been growing. And I think that like the big thing was watering. Like I was either overwatering or underwatering. And like now that I've gotten to a point where like drybacks, like you can really like change your soil overnight by like a good proper dryback. And they teach you not to do this in no-till to keep it moist.
Yeah.
But
you have to dry them back.
Yeah, and like almost to like the point where they're getting a little droopy.
You have to see a droop.
And then they're like, it's like ever since I've dialed, like I created a board where I have these little like flow meters on my hose. And it's like, you know, we go up by like 0.2 or 0.5 gallons, and then I have like a runoff scale. And now I just figured out like how many gallons per like every date, and we just tracked all that. And now we can make like pivotal decisions. Like we know during stretch, like bubble yum will stop drinking faster than anything else, and it can easily overwater. And once you figure that out, it's like I never have fungal issues anymore. And I think it's just all watering.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at the beginning could have been hot compost, could have been a number of things, but once your soil's settled, it's usually a watering, I think.
The health of the plant is so vital to a lot of things, and it's, you know, it's so like you said earlier, the first couple runs go real easy.
Yeah.
Because you got all that stuff in there, and the plants don't really suck a lot of it out.
Yeah.
You're kind of still throwing shit at it. And now that I'm into like the third and fourth runs, like I've noticed that the fungal growth has dropped off. And when I brought in those wood chips, I brought in just wood chips that were sitting outside for like a year. Some dirt in them, and like they were just beat up. And when I did that, I had no fungal growth in there before, and I haven't done any fungal inoculants at all.
Yeah.
I brought those wood chips in there, and now I'm seeing like varieties of fungal growth.
Cool.
You know, like horse mushrooms and just like these yellow ones with these like crazy caps.
Cool.
And like, you know, and it's interesting that when we remove these systems from their natural habitat,
Right.
how fast those systems deplete.
Yeah.
You know, and like just introducing a little bit of Mother Nature back in,
Right.
and I'm seeing blooms, and I'm seeing like just life coming back in, and like I'm actually seeing shit that I planted almost on the second cycle.
Yeah.
Coming back. I'm like,
isn't that cool?
Where the fuck were you, dude?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that happens. Like I have carrots popping up, and I haven't planted carrots in probably 3 years.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Where did this guy come from? And it's crazy how it works like that.
So you planted like what? Like regular like orange carrots?
Yeah, just regular orange carrot. Like 3 years ago, like I like carrots. I liked radish for aerating, but I was like, carrots might help for smaller aeration.
It's down deeper.
I like looked it up. And I think it was just there wasn't a lot of information on it. I like to eat them, but yeah, I haven't planted them in 2-3 years. I would say 3 years, and I just had a carrot that big come out of one of my beds.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I gave it back though. I was like, this is too like a small one I'll eat, but that was like I'm giving this one back to the soil at the. But like what you just said though, like how the wood chips, like you know how like Summit Lounge or the community barn, they soaked their wood in the pond, inoculated it for a year. Like native biology is so important. Like my first project, I was talking a lot with Josh and Kelly from Dragonfly Earth Medicine, and they were just like, you think about PM or any like pathogen, it's like native to us. So the outside, the biology and the fungi have already developed their own, like through evolution, how to fight it. So if we can like bring that inside to our no-till, so what you do is really smart. Yeah.
I think, and a lot of guys, without having to bring in wood chips, are utilizing the IMOs. They're going out, they're collecting on beds of rice, and there's like this whole natural farming. It's being branded as Korean natural farming, but it's to them it's just natural farming. And I think like bringing in those myceliums and all these different things that help the plants communicate. And it's got to help, right?
100%. Yeah, and diversity is everything, you know? Like,
I find just controlling the environment.
Yeah,
you know, making sure that you're not having these crazy spikes and moisture in your rooms.
Right.
Coming back, like, yeah, it rains outside.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
there's water that's coming down on those plants. It's not just water in the air sitting there, you know?
I mean, so like now that I think my soil is like 4 or 5 years old now in one of the rooms, and like I'll have like sometimes like I'll have a dehumidifier go and I'll be like 70 to 80% humidity in week 8 of flower,
Yep.
and I won't see a speck of PM.
Yep.
Like, well, fucking, it's, you know, like, I'm sure if if it was more than a few days, like shit could go bad.
Right.
But like in hydro or like bottles, I was always taught like that 15% swing one day would ruin a crop. Like you would automatically start. But like if you're, I don't know what it is. Like I was talking to Leighton about this because I'm like, I feel like I need to go and study like microbiology or like, and he was like, he told me the opposite. And like, I was like, what you just reacted to is like how I've been feeling about this. I'm like, I need to understand. He's like, dude, like this, he's like, you have your soil set, you're growing plants, your yields are great. Like, what do you need to go learn that? He's like, you already have all the pieces. Why do you want to change shit? If you're going to start like going down the rabbit hole of like learning about the different like species of biology and like you're going to have a microscope around your garden, is that going to improve your business? He's like, if you're a consultant and you want to go, or if you're like running like a, you know, fucking 30,000 square foot no-till garden, yeah. But he's like, at your scale, he's like, you're better like used here to scale up, and like the soil works. You got beautiful plants. You have a system. He's like, you know, what is that going to bring you in? You know, I took it with a grain of salt because it's like eventually I think like just understanding and being able to identify things, like especially the bad ones, would be good. But at the same time, he's kind of right, because it's like they don't even fucking know. You know, we're still learning about biology, microbiology every day.
Correct.
So it's like it's all field experience.
Right.
So we're in the field right now, and we're the ones that are going to be teaching. And you know, it's I don't know, but whatever
One of the
the
things I
saying
liked
is.
about Leighton the most was his realisticness. And like I was asking him like questions about microscopes, and he's like, dude,
Yeah.
just buy the $300 microscope.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck do you need a 3,000?
Yeah.
And like literally as a grower and like coming up and like going into the game, like worth looking at things going, I'll buy $1,000 light.
You're right.
I'll buy a $2,000 if I have
Right.
to. Like,
Right.
I'll buy that watering system. I'll buy these probes and these controllers.
Right.
And these plants want such simplicity.
Yeah.
That we overdo everything so much, so fucking often, and then we just don't really go by necessity.
Yeah.
And coming back, like leaving this, like adventuring into the no-till game and more organic, brought me back to that mindset. And then exploring the natural farming has really like tuned it back and been like, now I'm like at my facility and I'm like, holy shit, like I feel like I'm overwatering all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like, why am I dumping 20% water down the drain? And like I'm doing the math and I'm like judging one garden against another.
Right.
Like, I'm using 60 gallons a day in this room, but my whole other garden no-till only use that in like 2 or 2.5. You know what I mean? It's like I'm like concerned now. So I don't think that it matters how you grow good weed.
Right.
Good
Same here.
weed's fucking fire, dude.
100%.
You know, if it's a bottle, if it's no-till,
100%.
if the passion's behind the plant,
Exactly.
to thrive.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but for me, going into the natural farming and the no-till and these kind of experiences, that's like future shit as a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
am I going to leave enough stuff for my kids to be able to do their passion if they are in the plants?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's I see these things now, and like as I get older, I'm like more appreciative of no-till.
Yeah.
And it's like I respect the grower that's chasing his tail a little bit and going through these evolutions of growing and like having these experiences versus just following a feed chart, dumping bottles in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It makes you feel accomplished, you know, like, and like what you just said is I can relate so much. Like even in a room, like I have a system where it's like, you know, 2 days of no runoff. If you don't have that in your back chart, then you cannot increase the amount of water. But then you're looking at a plant and you're like, shit, it looks like it needs water. And every bed in the room is getting 10 gallons or 8 gallons, but that bed's getting 3 gallons. And I'm like, I just got to like my hands are in the soil. I'm trying to make
Elbow deep.
Yeah, like I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm like, this is crazy. Why is this bed with the biggest plants in the room only taking a fraction? And it's because I probably overwatered a month ago, and it's like just slowly figuring itself out. So it's like trusting a process once you have it in no-till is very hard because it's like so different. Like it's just so out of the ordinary sometimes with like what you're doing compared to what you used to do. It's very hard to make good decisions because you're like, I lay awake at night. Like, did I just fuck up? Like, I gave that 4 gallons. Like, did they need that? Should I let it go another day?
See,
like,
I don't even measure.
Oh, okay. I used to not.
I got a question on that.
Yeah.
As somebody that doesn't really, I'm not as far into growing as you guys. The thing I've noticed is you're trying to maximize resin production to plant material.
Yeah.
Is there a finesse to water creating more resin than just plant material? Because we've all seen those plants that throw colas, but you're like, on the market, that means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, my wedding pie washes at almost 9%.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like I don't do anything differently. I don't try to push sugars or anything like that. And like Matty Melts, big shout out to that guy. Guy's a great dude. Washes great hash, and like my mimosa is 5.4%. My fritter 5.7, and this is hash numbers. This is rosin numbers. GMO 7.5 or 8%, and everything like runs was like 2%. But you're not supposed to wash that anyway. We tried it, but yeah, I mean it's cool. This like the Jeff Lowenfels, who we just mentioned, they're finding that. And this is all new. Like the book isn't out yet. I'm very curious because like they're relating like trichomes kind of look like roots. And so there's a relation between the trichomes and the root zone. And like, I forget how to explain what I learned, but it's pretty, there are some things to what you're asking that I think we're going to find out. I don't know. My main
like
focus.
Those light feeders, are they focusing on resin?
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I would feel like that would, I mean, I'm sure people know that. Right. I'm more like base. I'm not like, and like it's funny too because like like I know my product's good and everything, but where the brand's at it blows me away. Like I am not the most educated no-till guy. That like I feel like a rookie still, and I keep it very basic. Like, is the plant healthy? Did I fill the canopy? That's all I want. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. Even like my sour rosin, like everyone's like, what'd you do to it? I'm like, nothing. Like I kind of fucked that bed up and like probably the stress did that. I used to look for ways to like stress the plant.
Yeah. Good stress and bad stress. There's lots of benefits. Yeah,
but right now I'm like, my facility is like, I'm like driving a Honda, you know what I mean? Like I don't have a Cadillac, my ceilings are low. I have 1,000-watt lights. My canopy's not pretty. My plants are always healthy, but like a few colas get torched here and there, and I'm more of just trying to make it right now. Just trying to fill rooms, get my yields, make sure it tastes good, make sure I cure it good. But I want to eventually start answering those questions, but I feel like I'm years away. From like the time to like do it, because like to like change anything per cultivar right now would be like, like why would I want to lose money, and like not about like losing like things I buy, like literally like everything's going back in the business. So any dollar I have that I lose is like, the potential of what living matter could become, So I try to be smart about those kind of things. I see a lot of people, always trying something new. You know what I mean? And I used to be like that. Like I was like, and my buddy, it's a good friend of mine. He fucking every harvest, halfway through, starts a new nutrient line. Oh. It's like, dude, you're sitting on thousands of dollars of nutrients. Like it's not the nutrients, buddy. Like no offense to him.
You're just not paying attention, pal.
Yeah, it's just some guys like want to grow, but don't want to put their time in, and some guys think that the answers can be bought. Where it's like usually it's just like you should just clean your grow after you flip a room. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people just don't want to do it.
It just boils down to experience.
Yeah.
You know, and I think to like answer the question, like from my experience, Jake, the resin, when we're in early flower and the plants are growing at their maximum, they're putting on the most vegetative growth. We always see the most water uptake at that point, and then they always slow down naturally, even in cocoa and things like that, towards the end of their growth cycle. So if you put too much water in those plants, typically what happens is you'll see a lot more bud rot. You'll see a lot more just moist issues because the plant is trying to perspirate all those kind of things that you're giving to it.
Yeah.
So when I've noticed, and the reason I turn my blue mats off, because I want to, so in the no-till situation, we're measuring millibars. We're measuring the moisture flexibility, if you want, like you know, like, so when we put water in, it becomes swollen, our soil, and then when it's dry, it becomes really thin. So like when it's dry, it's really high in millibars, and when it's wet, it's really low in millibars. It's like the amount. So that's the way I understand it. So I just use a meter, and then I'll look at a bed and I'll say, this bed is approximately 200 millibars. And my threshold is like 90 to 150. Vegetative, heavy growth. I want a lot of moisture. But in flower, late in flower especially, I want my resin to harden up, and I don't want so much moisture in my bud. So I'll throttle back and I'll push the envelope of like 260s, 270s, like, and then because I don't want my biology to die. I don't want my fungal to die. I don't want my worms to be stressed out. And I don't want my root zone to die. So what I'll do is just manage that with water. And I'll do an evaluation of that bed's at a number, 270, and I'll hit it with 4 seconds of pressurized water that's consistent. And then I know that X amount of water equals X amount of gallons.
I was going to say,
in a bucket. And that's how I'm measuring my water. But it's based upon the number that the bed's at. And then we're looking at it, and I love them to dry right up towards the end. Like, drop it. If they're still praying by the end, and they're starting to drop now, that's where I feel like I'm accomplished, and I feel like the plant's absorbed the most amount of nutrients, and it's used all the stuff that it has.
It's like not bloated. You know?
Dry times are different. You know, if I'm like in no-till, we're not flushing the fuck out of it. I'm not. You know what I mean? And with cocoa, we're pounding it. Like for 4 days, and it's chop it down before it starts to die, but to grate because it's nothing. So I've noticed that the resin production, you get these sappier resins from living soil, probably because of this drying down and not being so pressurized with water.
I remember way back, there's this lady, she's a doctor, and I think she was like from Las Vegas, but this is like when I was in college, but I learned that, you know, it's a desert plant, and the trichomes protect the plant from the sun. So if you dry it back, it'll produce more resin. And like, it was cool. I don't know if you listened to that other podcast with their new watering system where you like multiple little feedings, like severe drybacks and no-tills. Like there's like that 3D printing company that Leighton brought on. But it's really interesting. Like I remember, like Michael Hinden, like my mentor, he was like, this is like 7 years ago when he was teaching me this shit.
What was the strain you were smoking?
Kate Crasher.
Cool.
He was just like, dude, it's all water. It's all drybacks. And like, even like amending beds, like he's like, fuck your saturated paste test. He's like, dude, tissue test, bricks test, and water. And I'm like, yeah, like that's crazy. But he was managing like 1 million square feet in California. Like, it's a shitty story about him too. He's fucking murdered by an ex-business partner, and it was fucked up. But that dude really blew my mind to here later to how important the watering and the drybacks are, and what you're doing is like kind of like just unlocked a lot for me, where like especially like certain strains, they just stop drinking after a stretch, and I notice like if I can dial that in so they never have runoff after stretch, and I like, because once I get runoff after stretch on like bubbly on especially, it's like every watering I'll cut back like 5 gallons and it'll fucking do runoff. It just like it just turns into a wet sponge. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I know there's science behind it, and
I don't even like my beds to run off.
No, you shouldn't.
So that's where I'll get to the point, like I'll water the bed, I'll watch the millibars, And then if they start flirting with like a 60 number,
Yeah.
I know that I've kind of overwatered, but I didn't overwater.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's why I kind of stopped using Blue Mat for a while, because I'd
Right.
come in and they'd be fucking dried back, and
If there's a rock on the carrot, you're fucked. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
And the thing with the reason I love Blue Mats, like your system, they're fixed in their position.
And they're
Makes
little
sense.
beds.
If you're wheeling those around,
Yeah.
It's a nightmare for me. We like leached. Like it was I could
Yeah,
write a
sucks.
book on
Yeah.
fucking what we did wrong.
been
But
there,
like
brother.
we'd go in and be like, holy shit, like how do we flood this entire grow?
Yeah.
Like in one room. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
up to your ankles in
Oh
water.
yeah, and it's like, how is this even possible? And then like the neighbors who like share the grow, like we have neighbors, we have a storefront at the who's our landlord. Then we have they're like, everyone's like, where'd the water go? Like the aquifer, we like tapped it out. Like
jeez.
fuck Blue Mats, yeah. But in the right systems, like stationary beds, those capillary mats sound wicked cool.
They are super
they're awesome. And what like my chart of like runoff or gallons is just because we've been like kind of like, you know, financially stressed, and now that I have that system, I'm gonna use a moisture meter to like be like, all right, typically this strain getting at this height, getting 7, then 7.5 gallons to 8 gallons is like money for this, and like I know the feeling in my hands.
Yep.
And then using the moisture meter to be like, what is perfect?
Blue Mat has a
Finding that.
fixed unit that'll
Yeah.
run back to a head unit, and you can see it digitally.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there's another one, Pulse. There's a couple different
Pulse
ones.
has
Like what you were saying earlier too about like spending the money on the controllers, because we're trained to like, if we don't get the Blue Lab pens, like the old pH pens that never worked, like we're always taught in cannabis to pay the green tax because it's the only shit that works.
Or it's gonna keep working.
You know, like silica is a great like power sign now, but for OSA 28, whatever that one was,
Yeah.
that was like $1 million, but it was money, dude. That
Yep.
shit was nice.
Yep.
So it's like you go in and then no-till's like, nah,
Nope.
like lowest cost possible
Yep.
is your best option. It's crazy.
Or just like, where did it come from? You know, like I think the coolest thing that I've done for my no-till is just use as much of my own shit as possible.
Yeah.
You know, so like we're trying to like use plants, use IMOs, things like that.
Yep.
And I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm shout out to the Korean Natural Farm, and fucking I used his bloom ferment and fish brews, hydrolysate.
Yeah.
And things like that have really helped us.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and just a like full loop, like when we're talking about taste, right?
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed a lot of is when there's a good fungal presence in the soil,
Yep.
and you're using like fish emulsions and things like that, the fat comes back. It's like the steak in the fat. So like,
Interesting,
if
yeah.
you're struggling, I found that like I didn't use enough fish oil, or
Yeah.
I didn't use enough hydrolysate of some kind to get
Right.
like that leaky effect.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hitting great numbers on concentrate.
Right.
I think like, you know, if you go to terroir and you look at all these different areas where people are growing and you try the same cultivar,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just this different pheno.
Yeah.
This guy's growing in chicken shit. This guy's growing in old cow shit. This guy's growing in lobster compost
Yeah.
and blah 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 blah.
Because
And
it's
you-
good on this coast or that.
Right.
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
you're smoking it and you're like, one joint's fucking drooling.
Yeah.
You're like, hold on, I gotta wipe this thing, and the
Yeah.
other one's like, oh, this tastes good, and the other one's
Yeah.
like you're just blacked out high. You're like, I don't even understand this.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
it's so fun to like watch these things happen,
Yeah.
and like the littlest tweak
Yeah.
could make it. And
And sometimes it's like not even your tweak.
Right.
It's like Mother Nature just did something
Yes.
weird, you know? And it's cool too that I just learned that eventually they're going to start manufacturing native fungi and bacteria, so terroir, which I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate about this. So like this isn't what I'm saying I believe in, but they can manufacture the bacteria. So if like you want a plant that grows in this terroir, you can get those microbes shipped to your door and add that to your bed of soil in your native land.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and like grow it to the potential as if it was in that terroir. But I think like, you know, climate and the rain.
That's where
and,
everybody's gonna be
You
at,
know,
like-
everything else. Because like my buddy's a sommelier in New York City, and I asked him a bunch about, you know, what made the best grapes. Like and he's like working for like, I don't even know how he got this job. It's hilarious, but for like one of the best restaurants in the country, and like he is like a textbook of wine, but it was hilarious, and I knew he was gonna say it. He's like, dude, it was like he brought up this one country in Europe where this one vineyard had the best grapes. And the corporate back then bought up the land all around this place, and they all went out of business. They couldn't grow the same because his soil was fucking money, like something to do with his soil, like what they were doing differently. And like it was just like the first like education for myself of terroir and how different it is across every different like microclimate,
right.
And how it's like, yo, like we're fucking, that's why like the dream is like doing something like you're doing, like to have I can't wait to have like an outdoor like self-sufficient property, like hidden forest soil hunter. Awesome. Dude's light years ahead of a lot of people, and getting the different composts and making them on your own property, being a self-sufficient farm is like, that's the goal. And like if I could do it where we could do indoor, greenhouse, outdoor, all self-sufficient, I mean, go ahead, food supply or fertilizer shortage, I don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? Like we make our own shit.
Yeah, I mean, like when I started this year, I was looking at the news and watching this stuff, and like I have a family, you know what I mean? And like the biggest fear is you're not gonna be able to take care of your family. And like the struggle here is that this conversation is based around fear, right?
Yeah,
and like we all are living in such a great fear that we're losing touch with reality, right?
100%.
Okay, what about this food storage? What about this?
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in the universe, and like when I was living in this fear, like I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? I have to buy a bunch of nutrients. Like I was stockpiling nutrients for my grow.
Right.
Remember this crazy shit we were doing? Like, long story short, this natural farming way and just education and like building and like the universe brought us to, because we don't need to live in that fear.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like the fact that you can grow carrots.
Right.
A fucking medicine.
Yeah.
Food is medicine in a natural living system while you're also cultivating another fine herb, cannabis, medicine. You know what I mean? It's hard not to just love that.
And to change your life because of it. Like, it's like, I've always been like, I look at money differently. I made a ton of money when I was in my 20s, spent it all, and learned a bunch doing it, And, I've never been like one to be like concerned about that kind of stuff. Like, I've always just like, I'm not like a complete like go with the flow type of guy, but I'm very like, like not a lot of pressure on like the outer workings of the world. I don't believe half of it. You know what I mean? Like I know like every year we all argue about the same shit, and like, like right now it's definitely with food and fertilizer shortages, something I'm watching, but like as long as you just know like your budget, what your family needs, what you can produce on your own, then it's like, ooh, what's this? Is this sour? Is it sour? Pretty sure.
Squeeze it.
Is it?
Squeeze it.
This is dense as fuck.
Squeeze it. Squeeze the fuck out of it.
Wait, I don't want to squeeze the fuck out of it.
Squeeze it. We're going to smoke it.
Oh, what is this? This is sour. What is this?
What is it? You tell me.
I don't know.
You said you're the fan of it. You love it.
Yeah, I love it.
This the bar?
This is sour. Yeah. Sorry, this is
sour?
This is sour. This is mine. I would love to smoke some.
We're gonna smoke the shit out of it right now.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like it's literally. Is this sour?
I knew I had the back sitting there, and I've been waiting for like 5 minutes for like the other joint to calm down. Like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hit him with the nug now.
I know, like I just want to say too, like I don't know AJ's flowers, but he's like the sour guy, like been chasing sours. I'm a consumer. Like I got lucky. I got East Coast Sour Diesel, and makes really good hash out of it. I kind of fucked up the dry, so I hopefully get some good flour to market sometime soon. But one thing I did do, where I learned about when you take cultivars and you put them in a no-till system or you put them in a KNF system, this guy, the Nature Farm, I believe is the name, Nature Farm, and if you like cut from the meristem, you grow it 3 separate times. You're basically getting like the epigenetics of like the original, like how everything gets dudded these days. So like in no-till, it's like 7 cycles. So I sat on my sour cut I got from a friend for a year and a half and just kept cloning it because like I grew it at first and it like didn't smell like it was East Coast sour diesel, but it just didn't grow good. And now it's like one of the most vigorous plants, and my GG4 does that too. It's like GG4 is one of my best plants I have right now, and it's just cool to see how like our systems can clean plants too. So like, and I also heard that like
I cleaned the cookies.
So same deal, right?
Dude,
yeah.
I put the cookies, I got a cut, and it was shit.
Yeah.
Slow. I slammed it in my no-till. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna flower it.
Yeah.
It like took off in like the
Crazy.
first week of flower. I'm like, wow, it's alive.
Yeah.
I cut the top off. And
Yeah.
6 days later, I had a decent root, enough mass in the cube, put it in soil, and it just has ripped since.
Fuck yeah. It's crazy, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, look at the earth and like it's like the soil is the medicine for the plants, right?
Well, they lose touch with it.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't give everything that the sun like
force feed and like you're like
I love taking moms that are like kind of slowing down and just like throwing them outside in the bucket for the summer, and then getting a nice couple cuts before they go into flower.
Yep.
You know, and then if you can do that with like a sad cut,
yeah,
it wakes them up.
Yeah,
like
for
their
sure.
leaves get fatter and like put them.
A
in
lot
the
of
dirt.
people do that. Yeah, Beast Coast Farmers, Nick, he's the guy I got a lot of my cuts from, but he taught me that. He's like, you have anything, just throw it outside for like a couple weeks, and it's like it's a game changer. It's like once you get like a little rain on them, some real sun. I can't wait to grow under the real sun. That's gonna be like it's you ever like struggle with that, like how you're a farmer, but like I'm sure you're running a business now, and it's like, you know, it's observing the plants and like getting involved. It's not the same to me. Like I'm like so nerd because like I'm a salesman. I'm a marketing guy. I went to school for marketing, and I love to grow. And it's like, how do I do this so I enjoy it? Right. You know what I mean? You go through that too?
Oh my God. Like, it's like sometimes I'm walking into prison, dude.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, because you can only grow so many plants.
Yeah.
And the plants just become redundant, and like air conditioning's breaking, and dehumidifiers going to shit in week 8. And, you know, it's like all these things that we like worry about, and it's always just happening because it's mechanical failure. And if it can't happen, it's going to happen. Or, you know, like overwatering and stressing out. It's like plants are growing 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
They don't get sick unless we fuck them up.
Yep.
And we get sick just because we fuck up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, so I do. I lose the passion and because it's just monotonous.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, but then I'll put my hands in the soil.
Yeah.
And I'm like learning about bugs and not worrying about plants again.
Yeah, true.
And
that.
then, you know, like,
true that.
Or like I'll go through this moment of like, I can't deal with this shit. So I'll like take a break.
Yeah.
Or I'll like not try to be involved.
Yeah.
In the grow. And I'm like,
you're like, what's going on? Yeah, for sure.
Fuck, I can't let it go. And like,
on the camera. So.
Yeah, not even that. I'm like, I'm pulling up. I'm like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Know, you know, or like wintertime hits.
Yeah.
And like that dead of winter, and I'm like,
oh, you need the garden for that.
I just need to get out. I'm like, I go in the greenhouse and I smoke a joint in my like. I'm like, all right, just start planning like where I'm gonna put my seeds. And I like growing plants. Not cannabis plants. Like,
I get that.
I like growing cannabis plants outside. I like watching them be free. I super like pheno hunting.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Like grabbing some genetics off somebody and just running their gear,
it's
and
the
it
same
works.
Shit over and over. Yeah.
It's cool because like we're trying to provide medicine to people, and having consistency is huge, but it's not fun.
Yeah. Doing it like during the process of that, like you get new genetics, you like it, then you're like, all right, this is the third, like everyone loves the wedding pie. But at the same time, it's like people reaching out and they're like, this is the best weed I've ever smoked. Like that gets me to keep growing that strain, you know, like that's one thing I do too is I try not to just flood new genetics. I like to like give a little bit of the favorites out, pull it back, give a little bit of the favorites out, like throw something new in, but you know, like I didn't take my bubble yum or my cake crasher and just blow doors down of it when the hype hit last year. I haven't grown that in a year and just crushed it on this run. I'm so excited about it. And now I'm going to really release it. But people have been asking me this for like 12 months of when it's coming back. And I feel like, you know, that hearing from people like gives me the drive. I was more thinking like, like when I grow my best, I have a process. I will like run on the treadmill, then I'll like have a coffee and smoke and like prepare for my day. Then I'll walk into my garden and I'll just start from one room and work my way through. And I'm not talking to anyone else. Like when I've grown the best weed is when I ran this facility by myself. But like to be a boss and to make sure like packaging's done and like everything else you have to do, you can't be the same. It's like a schizophrenic, you know, like I'm two personalities. And even like sales, like I'm a extroverted person, but I'm very introverted when I consume cannabis, and I like to get fucking annihilated in that garden, you know what I mean? And I can't, like, when I do that for 3 months straight, I'm almost like a hermit, and then I try to go sell the product, and it's a very hard thing to.
Yeah, you're like people
I'm
like
battling
have conversations. You're like, I'm ready to go, dude.
I'm a weirdo now.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I gotta go water. I gotta do something. Something's not right.
Yeah,
I
literally.
hate selling fucking weed. I hate having to go like, just smoke it. If you like it, buy it. If you don't, then don't.
That's great.
Yeah, so the sour that I
That's
run
great.
is a BX2 sour from Karma Genetics.
Yep.
It's a seed pack that came from 2016's Spanibus. It was given
Cool.
to me by a homie, and Karma verified it, and
You can taste it. It's
good.
It's
And
great.
this was grown with salt.
Oh wow, yeah, hell yeah.
So, and this is cocoa and salt, but when you do it with the no-till,
Yeah.
you get like this tongue covering,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it out of the cocoa. I like the sour, but it's not creamy enough. It's not creamy is the word, but it's not like when you smoke sour, it hits your tongue.
Yeah, for sure.
It should coat your whole mouth, and
For sure.
I think there's a lot better sours out there. I do
Yeah.
know AJ Sour. AJ and I used to do a bunch of shit together.
Yeah.
He used to work with us for a while, and we did get to know his sour. And he is a sour aficionado. He's the one that turned me on to it.
Yeah.
You know, like we would smoke it. I'm like, he's like, holy shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is fantastic. Like
Yeah.
his sour is good.
Yeah.
And he runs to a lot of packs, so you can
Yeah,
find.
yeah.
And I think that's important. Like if you find a strain you like,
Yeah.
run through a shit ton of packs of the same flavor.
Yeah.
And find the different ones that work in your system.
Yeah.
So that you can get those flavors.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like different, like, I was talking to this guy the other day, and like, you know, people call me all the time, like sales or marketing or just market, like pricing, whatever. And, you know, like there's so many ways to skin a cat, and growing and selling it, and the genetics you run. Like we all, like there's so many, I love Maine. Like, you know, like a guy like Lonely Bones, like he had his banana bread and he was like known for that. And now he's like known for a couple different strains. Salty, same thing. Snake's Cake, AJ Sour is sour. You can ride certain strains to get your name out there, and then people will try whatever else is on your menu, and vice versa. I think I got lucky with like the timing of my release. Like, you know, like I had a few nice strains. They were like old school strains, and some of my own phenos came out, but it was no-till different. So like I got to, instead of having to like go where I'm just blowing doors down with Cake Crasher, I kept. I think I just knocked this off.
No, I did. I fucked it up when I was flicking it over here, and now we're playing catch up. You see that show? Some Bear Grylls shit. See that? That's how he knows. He's a Bear Grylls guy. He just that's why he didn't cup his hand and blow.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure.
Save that amber, son. Nope.
Yeah.
You like the joint once.
No, but it's you know, like there, no one, like I don't pay attention. I'm gonna go off on a tangent, but like
Love it.
I don't pay attention to competitors. You know, like a lot of competitors are my friends, and that we all share advice. And it's like, you know, the one thing I fucked up recently where I like to be original, and I started to do a grid pattern on my Instagram, and shout out to Third Shift Resin. I didn't know, I didn't see their Instagram. I saw it way back, but like in the moment I like forgot, and I was like going grid, and I'm like, oh fuck, like I don't want to be that guy, you know what I mean? And like a lot of people, and like I feel like you're a brand that you have always stood out because you were an original person. Like I remember you from the bonfires, like you guys were like mobbed up, like coming through, like everyone knew Humble Family Farms was there. Your storefront right down the road from my house, you know, the black, like you have a good like image of your brand, and you've stuck with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and well deserved. And everyone is like looking at all the brands like, what do I do now, like for the new guys? And like when I came in, I was like, what do I not do? Like gray, it's because no one had gray on the shelves. Like, that's why I used gray. My girlfriend named the company, but I had to send it out to a focus group of like 15 of my friends, even my mom. Like, whatever my mom, she's not a cannabis person, whatever she liked, I wasn't doing. You know what I mean? Because like, she's like, you know, professional business.
Right.
Like, I'm like, you're not my customer. So like, I like use people and like,
so smart, dude.
yeah, it's like, you know, like, I didn't like the logo. I didn't choose the logo, but like, if I were choosing a logo, I'd be buying from a lawyer firm. Like, it's like, you know, most cannabis people, I'm not selling to myself most of the time. Like, I'm a much different customer, and I just figured out what was out there, could I do that's different, and then I used people to figure out the best part of it. And it was all gambling. Like, I had no idea. And it's like, so for advice, like, to other people when they call me for that, I'm like, well, like, what do you, like, who is your customer? What's your brand? Like, what are you bringing to the table? Like, you know, don't look at anyone else. Like, you know, don't copy other people blatantly, but it's, you know, you have your own image of a brand, and the original ones, I feel like, do very well. And the ones that try to copy, like, become hype for a minute and then they go away. You know what I mean?
I struggled, and I'm coming back to our original feel of our brand.
Yeah.
You know, like when I first started my brand, it was like during the struggle, you know, like the coming up and like the mental change and like the you know, now it's not just me, the brand.
Right.
You know, it's like all of like the bud tenders, the growers, the trimmers, the office staff, the people that are like the real Humble Family Farms. And they don't even get the face of the image. Like, people don't understand. They go in the store, they're like, where's Doc?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I'm there working and doing the things that I do, but they're the real Humble Family Farms.
Yeah.
So, like, my branding has kind of switched a lot. And Jake and I were talking about this, and it's like, how do you kind of go in the direction that people like to see and keep that consistent branding and not sway away from it and lead into, like, the big corporate, this is Jim. Jim's our bud tender. Jim loves race cars. You know what I mean? Like, how do you not do that?
Yeah.
Because you truly love Jim.
Yeah.
And you're not like, and then, you know, like, you want other people to love Jim.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be fucking
corny. You know? Yeah.
You know, so it's like me back in the day, like, smoking dabs and coughing loogies out. Like, that's what a lot of people learn, but then that's not what we're about.
Yeah.
We're about living in the moment with, like, the customer that walks in and saying to them, how do we help you?
Yeah.
You know, like, we're not just here to sell you weed.
Yeah, right.
Like, we're going to try to sell you the weed that works for you. And if you don't like it, we'll work with you.
Right.
We're going to remember what you like. And
right.
Like Lewiston, Auburn is full of like everyday people.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
The people that are grinding at the bakery, flipping fucking cheeseburgers, getting an education, working in the hospitals, like every walk of life. The the little old ladies, the old men that come in, they're like, is this a grocery store?
Yeah.
No, it's like, well, God,
dude, that was my grandmother. That was my grandmother.
No shit, that was your grandmother?
I swear to God, that's...
Fuck.
Was it your rec store?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my grandmother. She thought it was Humble Family Farms, and she didn't talk to me. She lives right around the corner.
Yeah.
And she walked in there and thought it was like some new farm stand. And it's my meme. Yeah. That's hilarious.
One of the best things that we've experienced there is the older people that come in, and they're just like, they sit there. We have a couch so you can sit down and like relax, and like we're not trying to sell anybody anything.
Yeah.
You know, most of the people that come in like, let me get an eighth, boom, grab a pre-roll, boom.
Yeah.
Like when I started Humble Family Farms, I did not want to be one-dimensional with cannabis.
Yeah.
I wanted to like have it as like a part of what we're doing. And like, if you look at the brand, it's the 4-way bar.
Okay.
And then, like, you know, my start was I want to be that old cast iron sign.
Okay.
That swings on the driveway of the farm.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like has that like bar in between, and like it might have a chicken in it.
Yeah.
It might have a cow in it. It might have a fucking little grade of grass or whatever. Like the things that the farm did.
Yeah.
So the hopes was that I was into aquaponics, that I could get into the fish industry, and start creating the ways to like start growing the weed and like all these different things that I want. But we're so fucking limited because of the plants like
demand of us.
Stigma.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I can't put fish anywhere in my fucking cultivation facility because the FDA won't approve it.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't even put it in your logo.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't even put it in your logo.
You literally can't put it in your logo.
It's crazy the limitations that we have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because of a plant.
And it's crazy too, like, well, first, like, good for you to acknowledge, like, you know, I feel like a lot of people, especially when they're a big brand, they like get self-absorbed, and it sounds like you're the opposite, how you're like, the brand is not just me anymore, it's all these people. And, you know, like, that's, you know, I applaud you for that, because not everyone thinks like that. And like, you know, like, to just to like go off of that, like, you know, your bud tenders and your, like, they probably know the culture not better, but maybe better than you now.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, just chopping it up, like, I feel like a lot of people did well once they, like, got on a marketing team to, like, you know, the people you trust to, like, take the brand to the next level. And, like, you just, like, be the final say of things, you know? Like, I try to, like, I have ideas on, like, how to sell things, but, like, Reddit is also really good, even though they just annihilated me recently. I fucked up the dry cure, and I was overworked, underweight a bag, and
Let me tell you, now, I value everyone's opinion, and I'm going to say it publicly. But I feel like Reddit is like the old bathroom stall.
but I love
where
that.
you could like write like Jim sucks dicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you didn't write your fucking name on it. You didn't put your picture on it. What the fuck do you do?
So check it
I
out
hate
from
it.
this
Like, I'm just
perspective.
like,
if you're a guy that, like, let's say you had like your like back pocket hanging out, or you had a tag hanging out, no one would tell you that, but you go in the bathroom, Travis had his tag hanging out.
Yeah.
That's where you would find it.
Right.
Reddit's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, Reddit is like negative as hell, but I don't look at it negatively. I'm like, you know, now I know that I underweighed that ounce, and now I know I fucked up my dry cure.
Yeah.
No one would have ever told me that, and I would have continued with my process. So, like, it's, even though I got annihilated, I think I responded good. It's still like, I cherish that, because it's like, it's the shit that they're not, like, the internet allows people to say what they're too afraid to say to you in person.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a cultivator, I want as much feedback as
Yeah.
I can. I can't smoke all my bud. I would love
Right.
to. That'd be dope. But I don't have the lungs for it. But, you know, I don't know. Like, I have a process, and I'm trying my best. But it, you know, people hit me up saying it's the best weed they've ever smoked, and no one gives me the negative shit because they're like, I don't want to offend you.
Right.
It's like, that makes me better, you know? But at the same time, it can get really grimy in there. And I just, you know, when it gets to
If
the
it's
point.
positive feedback, I'm
Yeah,
all about it. But
yeah.
if it's like, dude, you suck, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you gotta take
Just
it like
haters to hate,
Yeah, like
yeah.
you should kill yourself, like all this, you know, mean,
Yeah.
just negative shit. If it's like constructive criticism, first of all, if like a product ever is underweighed, or
Yeah.
if a product's
Yeah.
not up to standard,
I
then
need
get
to
the fuck back.
Yeah, 100%.
Hit up that store and say, listen, I'm not satisfied with this product. Like,
Yeah.
number one, we always stand by the product. That's when we
100%.
package it. Like,
Right, exactly.
So if it's like, yo, that shit wasn't right, hit us up,
Yeah.
and we'll either refund your money, give you store credit, let you pick something else.
Yeah.
We'll do above and beyond.
Yeah, exactly what we did.
You know, and I think that's just the mentality of like, we're all human.
Yeah.
And unless you guys want some fucking shit that's like computerized, weighed, and like
Yeah.
sprayed, evaluated, like, oh my God, it's like,
Radiated. Yeah.
like, you know, like, and like I say that, but like we're in the rec side, and like it's so hard to pass microbials,
Right.
And like we're looking at all solutions, and we've looked at these fucking rad machines.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
But if 25% of my crop can be treated
Right.
and go to market for less value and stamped this has been treated,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
this
a tough.
is either destroying it or sending it to extracts and then having
Yeah, exactly.
piles of extracts.
Yeah.
And to like get something extracted on the rec market is like 7 times more than the med
Yeah.
market.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't
So
even know
like,
that.
dude,
Yeah.
if I move a pound to your rec store,
Yeah.
it's $350.
Yeah.
Excise taxes.
Excise taxes,
So
yeah.
now I move the pound of weed that needs to get extracted to the extractor. It's $350.
Holy shit.
And then I got to pay the extractor to run it, and then I can't get my own shit back to package it unless I have a manufacturer's license.
Oh, wow.
So once it goes from the extractor back to the more taxes.
Wow.
And then once it
Wow.
goes to the store, there's more taxes.
That's why it's so expensive. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then now we're having to compete with, it's not like we're competing, it's just we're making it available for a wider market. And
Yeah.
like you're seeing the price come down. Your $4,000 pounds are now $2,500.
Right. Exactly.
So
yeah, it's things I think about often. Like, you know, like we have the demand to blow this brand up, but no-till is not something that I could just like throw 30,000 square foot canopy and
No way, bro.
expect to survive.
You got to start a year in advance.
Exactly.
You got to start cooking your soil, getting
Literally
your blends.
a year in advance.
you
Yeah.
know?
And to look at the market, it's like, and I feel like, and it's no fault to anyone, but there is a lot of like education that needs to happen because most of the big players are cheating those tests.
Yeah, no shit.
Most of the big players just pay off the lab. Like everyone knows how the world works, but like if there's so much hate and negativity towards like picking apart like small craft growers, and even like a microbials, if E. coli is on the bud, I get that, but if like probiotic bacteria is on there, like,
they don't measure that.
Why is that? They don't decipher between the different types of bacteria, which is just backwards to me. And the SOPs between one lab and another lab are different, so people shop around to using a bunch of different labs, and it's like like I'm shifting to 6 strains per room. I was 3 strains per room. That's what, like $3,000 or whatever it is.
Like 600, 700.
Yeah,
and that's without pesticides because
full panels like $500 a pop.
Now
it's
they're going to do
stupid.
pesticides.
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of risk to growing no-till, and it's in my opinion backwards because it's a very good way to grow. You could make bad product from no-till, you could make bad product from salt like that's contaminated. I know that, but if the barriers of entry make it harder for organic cultivation, it's like it's all by it. Like I'm not gonna put my tinfoil hat, but
yeah,
it's like clearly what's happening. And the big brands want sterile product, and it's like look at nutrient density.
Well, nobody
food,
wants the liability, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It all boils down to like cover your fucking ass.
Yeah, exactly.
And like even it's surprising that the med market hasn't gone that way.
Yeah,
but the med market generates a lot of money as is, and nobody wants to fuck with that because money
which it
rules
shouldn't
everything.
be. You know, yeah. I think, and like I liked how they did the free testing. Nova Labs did that, and like Shirley was all on it, and you got a bunch of people and they're all testing other people's products for free. Like, what's wrong with our market? Like, we're doing, like, even rec should be a little more loose. Like, that tax structures is dumb. Like, I don't understand how, if it's a processing fee, there shouldn't be the $300, then $300 to come back. That's just they're just asking to fail. Like, I feel like there's just no like overview thought of what they're doing. They're just like, what is this one thing? Okay, what are the pros and cons of testing? Oh my God, like we could kill people from, but they're like not discussing the costs of it to the grower. Right. They're just like, this is a cash crop, and there's no like data. Like a buddy of mine's a consultant, and he does like mergers and acquisitions, and it's just, he blows his mind. First tax code 280E, how crazy it is. It's crazy. And then also there's like no solid data for benchmarks. So it's like anything we do is a shot in the dark. So you put yourself in the shoes of like a state elected official, they're shooting in the dark too. They're using these consultants from other states, and like, the corruption of that. And it's just, there's no real good answer. I feel like the way it is right now is like there's one market. Like there's multiple markets, but there's one market. Like all good weed gets sold. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if they force everyone back in the black market, they're going to have to loosen restrictions to get the good weed. People aren't going to stop. Like, we don't have the army to get every grower in the U.S., you know what I mean? Right. They're going after California, and it's sad, but I think the market, like the consumers, will make it work. You know what I mean? Like, tobacco is different. It's more of like a product that everyone's tricked into, but like weed is such like a connoisseur product. Like good weed, like it's like good wine or whiskey or anything like that. And look at all of that prohibition that happened. Like all the dope guys, like came from the black market. They're bootleggers.
I use this correlation a lot with like the bootleggers and like the weed guys and shit. It's and those are the people that I'm following. We're following. Like they're even some of those people are following the real ones.
Right. For sure.
It's just being grateful that we're in this position right now, and we're like
the timing. Yeah,
it might suck because the prices are a little low right now because there's a lot of fucking availability, or people don't have the extra funds to suck up
Yeah.
all the extra weed that's being grown. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, with our economy and the way
Yeah.
things are right now, like a lot of people are making different choices with what
Right.
they're consuming, and it's
Right.
from the foods they're eating, the
Right.
product they're smoking.
Right.
They're educated. They're educating themselves more and more every day. And like, you know, I've always from this, I tried some of your rosin one time, right? And like, oh yeah, this is living soil rosin. Check this shit out, right? And then ever since that moment, like you've always had this kind of, you've been really good at maintaining,
Consistency.
yeah, with that kind of market and like
Yeah.
delivering. So
Yeah.
you're doing a good job,
Thanks.
you know. And I think your product always looks great. I get to
Thanks.
smoke a little bit of it, and
Thanks.
you know, there's like one thing I always ask all the guests on the show, like, what, like, is there a point in your life that changed everything for you that you can remember, like that super pivotal moment?
Well, I mean, it honestly, it's funny because DMT. So I used to.
Yes, here we go.
I used to do like trip on mushrooms quite a bit, and acid, and you know, I wasn't like crazy like look, you know what I mean? But I like experimented with things, and then DMT, like I don't think I made it to where everyone goes. I think I was being led there, and like this little gnome dude, like it was like Mario. It was a vivid dream, and like
This was off DMT?
yeah, it was like first time I smoked it. I haven't been able to get back to this place, and so I just stopped doing it. But I've only done it a handful of times. And this little gnome creature, it was like my anxiety was blocking me to get to DMT land. But this gnome creature was like, "Come with me," and it's like went and jumped on these like blocks, like this Mario. It looked like I was playing Mario.
How old were you?
This was man, I was probably 26.
Okay, you jumped on
It
blocks.
was like maybe 8 years ago. I don't know. But yeah, jumped on the blocks, and then he jumped over this gap, and he pulled this flower. And then when he jumped the gap, a river came below him, and then a tractor-trailer truck drove by the apartment we were in and fucking woke me out of this. And I was like, I had no idea. And then it's like probably not what the message was, but whatever. Like I was like, take the leap to grow the flowers. Like that's how I like interpreted it. And then I quit my job like 3 months later, and fucking here I am.
wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool. And like I used to do like mushrooms a lot, but like starting a business, I just started microdosing again. I just went on a slight trip. I used to do it once a year just to like ego check, self-reflect, like what am I doing? But the past 4 years, I don't share it, but like a lot of legal stuff, like people, just a shitty thing I went through. And, you know, like the amount I've been working, like, you know, it's just a lot, and I've been afraid of psychedelics because it's like you can go either way. But I feel like now the brand and the company is where it's at, and I'm more comfortable, and I'm starting to become myself again, and I'm getting back into mushrooms. I'll probably do DMT again because I recommend that for anyone. Like that is a life-changing drug. Yeah, it's you only need it one time.
It's a root, right?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like I'm not like. I didn't do much research. I just understood that. Yeah,
Send it.
Yeah, I'm that kind of guy. Yeah,
Dude, I was too.
My buddies are like that, and like they explained to me where it came from and ayahuasca and all that shit, and like they know like they're on like the internet like depths. You know what I mean? Like we were on Silk Road like when it came out, getting like, you know, college drugs. Those were the days. That's where we got our DMT too, like from one of the most reviewed people. It's just funny. But yeah, I don't know what it was. It came into a crystal. We like took lotus flower and like lined a bowl with weed, then lotus, then DMT, then lotus, then weed, and like to like create an oven to smoke it. And we all took a few hits, and it's like weird. It's a weird, like nothing. It's what I thought originally acid was. Like when I first took acid, I thought I was like PCP, like gonna be seeing like flamingos on the wall and shit. But I was like, okay, just the trees are waving at me, like, you know.
How much acid did you take?
I don't do much. Acid was one I was a little afraid of. I've only done like maybe a few hits at a time, but typically a half hit to a hit, just to like kind of watch trees, waves. Yeah, I'm very like I used to like really like Molly and stuff, or like anything that like go and dance at festivals. I went to Mysteryland, which was at Woodstock, just to go there. I got a Woodstock T-shirt, and like the vibes of like there's a swing in the middle, and there's like 7 different stages, and it was like heavy metal, rap, country, and I was just like living in those moments for split seconds around and around, like just like connection type drugs are really what I'm into. Yeah. Not anymore though, because even drinking, like ever since starting this business and like, my girlfriend and our 8-year-old at home, you got to kind of grow up and, I kind of looked at my life and it's like, I had my fun, now it's time to buckle down and get this shit done. And that's where I'm at now. Yeah.
Well, congratulations for being able to control that mindset.
Thanks.
There's a lot of fucking people that can't get off that ride, brother.
Hey, trust me, it was a tough ride. Yeah.
I struggled with it for a long time, and like, this is 11 years of being sober off of opiates.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. And
awesome.
Like, I'm scared. Like I did mushrooms all the fucking time when I was a kid. Like I did acid all the time when I was a kid. I was like you, like we, come off the hill and fucking, what do you got? Oh, try this shit. Oh God. Yes, Molly. Me and my wife's like second date. We ate a 10-pack of E and just like hung out and just like raged. And then we went, and then we went to like fucking, and then we went to like Six Flags the next day. Like. No dopamine, and like on roller coaster. Yeah. But I mean, we're young, so like get over it so quick, dude.
Yeah.
And then for me now, it's like I kind of like am like I used to be this like I just completely used to live with my ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like fucking live in this fear-based, ego-driven fucking world, and it just consumed a lot of things and a lot of choices I make. And stepping out of that realm and learning about these kind of choices and living in this mindset, changing. And hearing so much powerful shit come from like mushrooms, and like maybe I was living in that ego mindset because of past experience.
Right.
I'd love to just revisit those, but I'm scared because I don't want to like them too much. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like your gut's gonna tell you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the world like just talks to you, and like with anything like that, like, because I share these feelings about everything, like certain drugs I will never touch again. But it's like. It's like I was afraid of mushrooms, and then randomly I was at my buddy's birthday party. Like this is a month ago, and one of his friends that I just met, he was like this like dude that just is like a light. He's like everyone loves him. He just has his bag of mushrooms. I'm like, fuck. Like I'm doing mushrooms tonight, and I couldn't say no to him.
Is this one of our friends?
No.
Okay.
Friend,
okay.
I'm sure we have plenty of mutual friends.
This guy sounds like somebody I know.
But it was like, you know what I mean? Like I was so afraid of it for the same reason. I thought like I was gonna like start rethinking my business. I thought I was gonna like go down the path where I'm like I need to get high to get happy again and stuff like that. And I was like, it was probably the best thing that could happen. I kind of like. Just reset, like had a great time, like didn't even talk about cannabis, which is rare, and just talked about other people's lives, like connected with them. And I like it was like, one thing I like to do, and my buddy that travels a lot, just ground yourself after planes and stuff, like like it's just good to remind yourself, like even like going to Funtown and watching a kid enjoy it is like grounding me, you know what I mean? Things like that.
It's bringing you closer back to yourself.
Yeah, so it's like, it's if you're afraid of it, you should be right now, but eventually you're going to be like, I think this is the moment that's supposed to happen.
Yeah, I want to be in the moment, and definitely I want to do it with like my wife and shit like that. So it's going to be super interesting when that moment happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But dude, it's fun to like have these conversations and like explore these moments and things like that. And like, is there anything that you would want to share? Like, we've been all over the map.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like we could chat for like days about shit, and it's fun to get to know you, man. And,
likewise. Yeah, no, I appreciate the invite. Obviously, very grateful. And always been a fan of your brand. Always been a fan of your work. I think. The one thing, and I've been staying out of everything, is just, the culture that's been built in Maine, and, everyone going big or going small. I think like, I caught myself in it where I was like not selling in certain stores, and I was like afraid of people. And I think that's like something that we all should do better is like, we can all win at this. You know what I mean? Like we're all competitors, but we're all good people at the end of the day, and there should be no reason to like dislike a person because they made a bad move in business. I think that's one thing that I would like to leave with. Yeah,
that's super bravo for bringing that
Yeah,
up, bro.
cool. Thanks.
I think that a lot of people don't address that kind of stuff enough, and it's like to not let go of the past.
Yeah.
And to think that somebody always is going to remain in that same moment and make those same choices over and over. Yeah, it sucks. People fuck up all the time, and I proudly wear all my fuck ups on my sleeve.
Same.
And will, till I'm blue in the face, tell people I fucked up and I'm sorry.
Right.
You know, and like the only way that I'm ever going to prove that stuff is to just be better in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So bravo for bringing that up. And,
Thanks.
you know, I think we've had guests, we've invited people on the show that have been stung by the cannabis community. I think that it's such a powerful force, and people are so passionate about the energy that's created from this plant that when people come in and they don't align right, or they don't jive with the right people,
100%.
there's so much negativity on those people.
Yeah.
And there is these big corporate conglomerates, and the wellnesses, the cures, all these fucking people that I'd smash that bell in pieces before I ring it for their honor. You know what I mean? Because they're fucking up our culture. And what they're doing is successful only because they're driving a wedge between small brands.
Exactly.
Because of the need to survive.
Yeah.
You know, like I have friends that sell product to these people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't fuck with you because you do that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's...
Well,
that's my own fear that
Yeah.
these people are going to take over the business, but I wish I could support my fellow friend.
Right.
And if we all join hands and fucking fight against that shit and support each other and say, hey, Travis is fucking living, we got to get you all over all these little stores.
Right.
Unfortunately, not everybody's going to get all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
it helps you scale up to push it around, and it helps to support the community, and helps to get your medicine spread out to lots of people.
Right.
You know, and and I agree with you, man. People got to stop wearing their egos.
Yeah, it is.
They got to let go.
It's the biggest thing, man.
I'm going to practice it myself.
It's funny too, because like I was so intimidated coming into this market. Now I came from the construction market, the piping, which is dirty as fuck, and it was like nothing compared to cannabis.
Right.
It was just, I'm just like, damn, like relationships are very important, and like you do not want to piss off the wrong guy. So I just keep my fucking head down and try to do my own thing, you know?
Yeah, I've always tried to keep my head down. It's just so fucking big. It's just like I'm just,
I'm short, so I don't
help it, bro. I'm just motherfucker. I did put myself out there a lot when I first came up, and like I was trying to like, I was in love with the culture.
Yeah,
I love these fucking plants.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And they've helped me so much that I was like, why isn't everybody doing this? Like, how come we're not?
Right.
Like, fuck that. Let's get everybody together and like, you know, and like, and that people love that shit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you start getting into these business licenses and growing up and like having families, and these families get bigger, and you need to provide, and you need to be like a grown up, and it kind of, I miss those times.
Yeah.
But there's dudes doing it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I like hit up, they hit me up, can you guys sponsor? I'm like, dude, I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, but no.
I can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It sucks.
We're at that like we're 2 years too late, I think, like going back to all those, you know, like, because like this year's gonna be tough for pricing, I think. You know, this fall we'll see. There's fires out west, so I don't know, but you know, then it should reset with the way things go. But you know, once it resets and all these small growers are making money again, you know, they're just gonna keep cracking down. And if we're not tight, like with what we're doing, then we're gonna be one of the ones that they get. You know, I just feel like as long as like the paperwork's right and we're private property, you know, but it's just a matter of time. You know, there's a lot of risk involved with stuff like that. I've been hesitant to doing those types of shows for that reason. Like I just don't trust anybody.
I mean, I deal with OMP all the time, or OCP, right?
Yeah, same.
So like, they sit and they tell me about these things.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, they're very obvious. They're very like,
okay.
If you're with these people and like, I don't fucking kiss their ass,
right?
Because I know they're cops and like they're just digging for information all the time.
Exactly.
And, like it's in their fucking bloodstream. They can't help it. You know what I mean?
For
like
sure.
you're always being interrogated, but they're being really nice.
They're being nice. Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like so. I listen to them.
Yeah.
And I always ask them, well, what about, you know?
Yeah.
And then they'll always just.
Yeah.
If you're not telling them shit, they're gonna tell you shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they tell me all about like, oh, we know about these sessions, and we know about these things, and we know that it's out of state people coming to Maine selling product.
Yeah.
And it's taken away from other markets.
Yeah.
And it's killing the market of the med people or the stores. They think it is.
Yeah.
But You know, there's no numbers to prove that.
And I wonder too if that's just like them setting it up, like the idea of why they're about to start busting.
Exactly.
It. You know what I mean? They always like have a story
Yeah.
to before like something happens. It's like that fentanyl laced weed type shit. It's like, no, they're just gonna start cracking down now.
Well, what it is tax money.
Yeah, exactly.
They go and they take a picture of your booth and they say that product would sell, and we know it sells in the store. Here it is on Weed Maps for $45. They always go with the biggest one.
Right.
And then they say you didn't pay your 5 or 6% medical sales tax,
right,
or you didn't pay your 10% rec sales tax because you didn't check a med card.
Right.
So based upon your table, you had 20 grand.
Yeah.
You owe us.
And they'll come at you like 18 months later and be like, and the penalties on the tax.
Exactly. You know? They don't want to put your ass in jail. They want you to go out and
they just want money. Yeah.
Right. They just want your fucking money, and they don't want you to skip taxes. So that's a lot of the beef with these people, and they think that they're taking money from the stores who are paying their fucking taxes.
Yeah.
And the license fees.
Yeah.
And working with the town.
Yeah.
And their balls busted
yeah,
by
store. I'm nervous. I was curious. Like, you know, I potentially would want a storefront, but like I keep hearing, like my accountant's like, dude, I don't know. And like, I don't know if I should just do like a delivery setup, just expand what I got going. But, you know, it's like the more pressure and like you can't, like tax code 280E, like you can't write off all the employees working in the store. So it's just like financially, I don't know if it's a good deal anymore, right?
Dude,
because of all the cost. Yeah. So it's more of like just for your brand to get that storefront, a flagship store, to have people come in there, but it's not really a profitable machine. Unless you're like slinging friggin'
very slim margin.
the packs these days. Yeah.
We don't. I mean, we're very